So you may have heard people say that if you want to become fluent in English, then you should live in a country where English is spoken as the main language. Or maybe if you want to become fluent, you should have started from when you were young, because now that you're old, you can't do it anymore. Or even if you go to an international school, you had the privilege to do that, then that is kind of like the golden ticket. But what if I told you those are not the magic ingredients to fluency? Of course, they would help you a lot to reach fluency faster, the things that I just talked about, but they are not the main determinants. The main determinants of fluency are actually within your control. So in this video, I want to talk about the 3 factors of fluency that are within your control. So sit back, relax, stop blaming your circumstances, take back your power, and work towards your fluency goal. Number 1, time invested. So whenever you want to be good at something, you have to ask, how much time am I spending in my daily life to get good at that? You want to get good at guitar? How much time do you spend per day practicing? If you want to get fluent in English, how much time do you speak? So spending time every day, even just for a few minutes, can really add up. But what's important is to maintain that consistency. So for people who live abroad in an English-speaking country or international school, they do have the advantage of time. But that doesn't mean that you're cursed from the beginning if you did not have these opportunities. You can make time in your daily life. You can immerse yourself through English around you, and that can actually make up for the time that you did not spend not living in an English-speaking country or going to an international school. So the first most important determinant is time. And how do you make time to learn English? I talked about this quite extensively in this video, but basically what it means is that you have to prioritize it. But what does it mean to prioritize? To prioritize means that you really have to make time to get better in English. Not to have time, but actually set aside time in your day to get better at it. So you have to consciously make the choice of thinking, okay, I am actually going to spare 1 or 2 hours a day to get immersed in English and to actually practice my skills. Because if you say, oh, I don't really have the time, that's very much surrendering to your circumstances. I mean, granted, it might actually be true that you don't have the time because you're very busy with your work, with your family, with other obligations. But if being fluent in English is very much important to you, you are going to make the time. You will find the solutions to freeing up some time during your day to actually invest in it. Hey guys, before we return to the video, I just want to tell you that ESA is now open for application. So if you are a professional or an expat who need to urgently speak English in your life, make sure that you check this out because it's going to be super interesting. So go on the website, click apply now, and we will get in touch with you if you guys are a fit into this program. So back to the video and enjoy. Point number 2 is to practice the right skills. So not all practice is equal. I also talked about why practice is not enough here, but basically focusing on the right skill really accelerates your progress. So of course, if we have a limited time in our day, we have to be very smart on how we want to use our resources, which is our time and our attention. And how do we do this? The first step is to know what it is exactly that I want to get fluent at. I want to get fluent in English so that I can find a partner who is a foreigner, or I want to get better in English because I want to be able to communicate with people at work. Then just focus on that. Focus on developing your fluency skills in these aspects of your life. You want to find a relationship, then learn English for dating. You want to get better in English for work, then learn professional English. How are English used in work interaction? So that's the first step, knowing your goal. And then, of course, knowing the right practice to do to reach that goal. If you are at a point where you can understand English perfectly, but you still keep on doing that listening, that is actually pretty good. That means you've really maximized your listening skills. But at this moment, listening is probably not the right practice to do for you. The better practice for you to do is to practice your fluency, your output skills. So maybe learn how to speak to yourself first, learn how to vlog, learn to record yourself, and then learn to actually talk to people that you find on the internet, because there are plenty of places on the internet where you can talk to strangers in English. If you're a gamer, there's a lot of Discord lounge that you can join, or there's also this thing called the VR reality chat where you can just go into a different world and find people from all over the world and talk about whatever. So there's plenty of places that you can actually go to practice your English. So sometimes people would question themselves, I've been surrounding myself with English all the time, but what am I not fluent yet? Because when you're surrounding yourself with English content, that's great, but you're only practicing your input skills, your listening skills, and your reading. If you want to get fluent, that means your output skills needs to be practiced. So focus on that output practice. That's what it means by focusing on the right skills. Number 3, this is actually one of the most important ones, but often overlooked because people would kind of take it for granted, and it sounds a little bit cliche, but it's actually your willingness. Your willingness to become fluent is actually the most important component to reaching your goal. Because if you don't have the willingness for it, you don't want to practice, you don't want to make the time, there is no way that you can reach fluency, even if you just dream it. So you actually need to have the dedication and the perseverance to actually achieve this. Without this, the 2 points that I mentioned earlier, it's just going to be in vain. So if you do not have the willingness, I cannot really help you because it has to come from you. But there are some things that you can do to actually spark it. So you can actually force a deadline to yourself. Maybe book an IELTS test or a TOEFL test to a certain date, and that, of course, will give you the willingness to get better. Like, okay, I have an exam booked in 1 or 2 months, so I have to get better at it. Or maybe if you're a competitive person, you can have a bet with your friend or your partner or whatever to like, hey, let's compete, if let's see which one of us will become more fluent in 2 months' time, and the one that is less fluent, the one that is less better, has to pay for something, has to treat the other one for dinner or whatever. Just get creative, I think you know yourselves better. What is it that motivates you the most? And try to incorporate this into that. Or maybe you are someone who thrives on compliments. If, let's say, you are motivated by getting a lot of compliments, you can also use that to your advantage, maybe because I would love to impress this girl or this guy by my excellent English skills. You can use that as a motivation, and then if that's a way for you to get that willingness out of you, who's to say that it's wrong? So go for it. Think about what is pushing you to do that. And so in conclusion, the 3 factors that would really determine your fluency is the time, is the kind of practice that you do, and your willingness for it. So what you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you next week in another video. Until then, take care and goodbye, and good luck.